Let's go down here. All over the place. What happened here? Yeah, there you go.
I don't know how they get it. Well, I would have, but then next
Another day of circus, man. Another day of circus. You got your jacket on now. Yeah. You trying to start running for the meeting. Oh, look at that guy. You recognize that guy?
It's the same jacket. That was my wedding. My first wedding.
The great mustache, man. I think you look better now.
So I saw the homeless person behind the church Saturday. There's two of them. There's like 6 of them. All right, he had set up right after the big rain. I didn't see him. I saw his setup.
What's your name again? Billy Groom.
The shitter.
We'll go to the dog.
Dog rooms get expensive. Sean, you better be careful. I'm going to show her anything. So who you are.
No one came back.
Everybody else is on fire.
Stretch it out. They do
I'm sure now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, council members, thank you. When you get ready, you can call the roll.
Mr. Parker? Here. Mr. Farley?
He's here somewhere.
Grooms?
Here.
Dr. Houghton?
Here.
Mr. Ellis?
Here.
Mr. Rich?
Here.
Mayor Goodwin?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have the invocation by Councilman Rich. Mr. Folly.
Mr. Folly. You back right in
I knew
time.
you wouldn't start without me.
Well, we was getting ready to. I didn't know you was up. Followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Dear Lord, we come to you at this time asking for your blessing to help us as we are gathered together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would help us succeed in our work to serve others. Give us the wisdom to make wise decisions. Bless the sick and those that care for the sick. Watch over those who work in public safety. Comfort those who have endured so many losses due to fire and flood. Bless us, our state, our nation. Thank you for all the blessings you continue to show to us here on Folly Beach. We ask this in your name.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As it comes to mind under Mayor's comments, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all, it's like we want to make sure everybody gets the same amount of liberty, the same amount of justice, the same amount of treatment equally across the board. Sometimes we don't feel that way personally, but hopefully the city does that and equally treats everybody equally across the board with rules, regulations, ordinances, and how they're enforced. To SDRs, which is going to get longer winded, I read a quote last night. It was funny because it popped up by Wyatt Earp. And he said, being fast is okay, but being accurate is deadly. So I think about that with the SDR ordinance. Being fast would have been okay, but being accurate with that thing, with the SDR ordinance going forward, would be deadly and be right on target. With that, we move to staff reports. We don't have any this evening, right? Approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Second?
I have a motion to postpone ordinance 2922 and 3022. Do you want to say too much? You just want to leave it open-ended? Aaron?
Well, it should have been ordinance 2722.
Ordinance protection of civil penalty. I'm looking at new business 2922 and 3022. Or do you want to do 27?
Mr. Rich, if we can give those first reading tonight, then we
Okay,
can.
I got you. Then I'd like to postpone ordinance 2722. Okay.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Now back, any other amendments? Back to the agenda as amended.
Call the roll on
Yep.
that.
Call the roll.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Rooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Have approval of the previous month's amendments. Have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Any corrections or additions? Okay.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Rooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
So we're moving to personal appearances. And the first one up is Mayor Perry. Mayor Dr. Richard.
Thank you very much. I was flabbergasted by the work session. I saw how hard you're working to create a model to control something that is out of control. We have 8-to-1 ratio of non-residents to residents. Since this from 2010 to 2020, we've lost 20% of our permanent population. And I see you designing financial systems to take care of the money that's going to come from investor-owned short-term rental. And it worries the devil out of me. So my comments today are going to sound a little preachy, and I want you to just forgive me for that. It's something I'm very passionate about, and so just forgive me for being preachy tonight. But I do want to thank you all for allowing me to speak, and I want to thank you for having the commitment to work for the community. I really appreciate that. You've got a tough job on any given day, and on some days, you have a job that requires that you be a visionary, because you will be making decisions that affect this community for decades, perhaps for its entire existence. And the role that investor-owned short-term rentals plays in the affecting the quality of life in the residential districts is one of those subjects. It's subject for a visionary. To use a planner's term, and spelled out tonight, in $58 million, what was it? Was a figure, it was a very large figure that short-term, investor-owned short-term rentals create on the island. To use a planner's term, investor-owned short-term rentals are a non-conforming use in a residential district, as they both raise the density of an island. Single-family residential was designed to create a certain level of density, which investor-owned short-term rentals completely blows out of the water, and detracts from the general quiet and that someone that buys into a residential district should be able to count on. Now, it's still unfolding what's going to happen with other communities and ISTRs. We're late in addressing it. The city of Charleston was with it earlier. But I think every community that faces this commercialization of its residential area is eventually going to face this. So we can need leaders. These communities that are working on it, like Charleston, Sullivan's Island, Isle of Palms, and Seabrook, these communities understand they have to come to grips with how they're going to limit ISTRs and how they're going to favor livability. You understand something Folly may have missed, and that is having a well-protected single-family zoning designation adds tremendous value to the homes that are in that designation. Let me say that again. Having a well-protected single-family residential district adds tremendous value to the homes that are in that district. This council tabled all discussion on the mayor's very modest proposal to limit ISTRs in a record-breaking 127 seconds. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of miscommunication, because I'm sure that each of you understand the need for protecting the integrity of single-family residential zoning, and that ISTRs are the major threat to that integrity. I'm not sure how much thought you've given to the long-term implication of the actions that you're going to be taking in the near future. But I'm here tonight to ask this council to pause, rethink your vision, and the urgency of implementing that vision requires. Making a long story short, the Folly community of the 1980s and a city council minority rose up against a majority of city council and a large portion of the community that was determined to allow any and all developmental proposals and building heights and vanquish them for their lack of vision. We limited growth of sewers, stopped multiple high-rise development projects, set height limits for the first time, downzoned multiple areas of the island that was on resort commercial. And we left most of the island single-family residential for a reason. The fact that we firmly established our SFR district 40 years ago gives you a lot of power for enforcing single-family residential districts today. Some of you were very young while I was going through this, like children. But the Folly today is the beneficiary of the difficult work under really trying circumstances that was done those many years ago. Lots of work, lots of money, lots of time, and lots of blood, sweat, and tears to shape a vision for this city to be a community of slow growth, small buildings with an emphasis on owner occupation. We did our part. Now it's time to do your part. Subsequent city councils have protected those principles because they understood that the backbone of this community is its permanent residents. Visitors do not do the heavy lifting that's required for a community to work. The essence of wealth, we are learning, is absence. I started writing a book about the uniqueness of those times in the 80s 2 years ago. Never, ever thinking that I would be standing in front of you tonight asking you that we not take this community to the brink of disaster again. I'm asking you to do whatever you have to do to keep from being on the wrong side of history. If you fail to follow through with plans to limit and control ISTRs, you will be replacing the vision that this community of the 80s gave its all to manifest with a vision that it did all it could to prevent. The vision that Folly would first be a place where people would call home, enjoying all the protections that a single-family zoning should afford them in terms of respite from the pressures of daily life. In essence, quality of life, or in our case, folliness. Now I know the pressure is on, there's lots of money on the table, and I know that there's a pernicious growth in the power of potential gains that are in play. But there are more and more people now, and now corporations, that are willing to sacrifice the residential backbone of this community for financial gain. It is your job to look past your personal interests, past any grievances that you may have with other city council members, past the interests of those who would put profit instead of pride, ahead of pride in the community, and focus on what Folly's residential core will be 20 years from now. I heard us talking tonight about, well, we had 1,100 licenses, now we have 1,400, and maybe next year there'll be 2,500. If we don't put a cap on it, if we don't stop it, there will be no end. If Folly will be the place where everybody who wants to make a dime, corporations included, they will come to Folly to commercialize our residential district. In my mind, it's already commercialized. Look at the numbers. Now, there are ways for commercial interests and single-family zoning to coexist, but there can be no recreational peace without limits on the number of ISTRs. As a one-time mayor that feels that he is watching history be repeated, I'm here today to ask this council to settle down and do the work that it will take to reach a consensus that will leave Folly a place where people want to call home in 20 years. That we will not see the number of people that are permanent residents continue to decline as time passes. Folly is not just an island, as you well know. It's a way of life. And this council can be its guardians, or you can be the ones that destroy it. We need to set a limit on ISTRs. We need to limit them where they are, and then we need to take appropriate steps to make sure that they're managed well with an idea toward limiting them further. We have to have a residential community in the city of Folly Beach. I thank you very much for listening. I hope you'll get some fun.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you. All right, so next is Ms. Travers. Folly's 50th up first,
Yes.
and then Mermaids and Mateys to follow shortly thereafter.
Yes. I figured I would just stay for both.
Yeah, you get 2 in a row.
Okay, so I apologize I wasn't able to be here at the previous meeting, but for Folly's 50th birthday celebration, we have set aside Friday, September 22nd, 2023 through Saturday, September 30th, 2023. So it's going to be about 8 days of events, in which we will do 8 events. So that's the plan right now. Some much smaller in scale than others. The first event that we had planned for that Friday would be the 50th Gala, something pretty upscale like black tie, likely at the Tides depending on their availability. So something like that. Saturday was going to be Folly Through the Decades, which I believe Ray spoke about. Assigning a different decade to every block and associating some vintage cars with those. We want to do a beach day on Sunday, just games, casual and fun. We want to do a resident brunch and celebration of history on Monday. So that would just be like a late morning event. Tuesday was a business and resident private party on the island. Wednesday was a Folly family and kids event, like tie-dyeing the t-shirts and shell painting, things like that. Thursday, our hope is to do shagging and a disco on the pier. Of course, we need to talk to Charleston County about that, but that is our hope. We will move it if we need to. Friday is a quiet night, and then Saturday would be our large-scale street closure that we plan to do, like a boardwalk style event, like arcade games, and the scrambler, and a Ferris wheel, and things like that. So overall, that's kind of what we have in mind. Obviously, we have received some ATAX money the last couple of years for this event. We are going in for another ask here for the meeting on the 24th. And we have a draft budget in place, dependent on that ATAX gift that we're given. And once we are able to finalize that budget after the meeting on the 24th, we will get moving on securing all our venues and things like that. So, but that's just kind of the last piece there on the 24th. But it's kind of where we sit right now. I don't know if anybody has any questions or concerns.
So what was the dates again?
Friday, September 22nd to Saturday, September 30th. We have a tentative rain date for that Sunday if something gets rained out. Some things are indoors. Okay.
Thank you.
And then for Mermaids and Mateys, obviously that is upcoming in September. It's Friday, September 23rd and Saturday, September 24th. The plan for that event is on Friday. We'll be doing what we're calling the Under the Sea Dance, which is kind of a play on Back to the Future, which will be on private property at the Loft at St. James Gate. It'll just be a dance with some light appetizers, drinks, just kind of an under the sea type theme. On Saturday, we'll be doing breakfast with the mermaids at Rita's, again on private property, just for 1 hour for the kids. We're gonna have mermaids walking around, special table tents, place settings, and we're going to enter those guests VIP style through just the Arctic Gate and get them directly into Rita's. Come up with the logistics. So we are going to be reserving tables for that online, first come, first serve. Rita's is only offering 6 tables at this time, so after that point we'll cut it down, and then everyone will have to go to the back gate of Rita's to enter. And then, of course, the Salty Saturday street closure runs from 10 to 4 that Saturday. We are partnering with the Alzheimer's Association of South Carolina for that event, so our goal is to paint Folly purple. Not literally, of course, just for the majority of guests to wear purple, and the bars and restaurants to have their staff wear purple and celebrate purple. So, of course, we've already had the safety meeting with Chief. The plan is to close the streets at 7 a.m. For us to secure the perimeter and reopen it at 6 p.m. And during that time, we'll do our usual fare. So far, we have 46 vendors signed up to vend with us. Of course, we have 24 porta potties. We have 26 security guards, 20 event staff to work our entrances. We have the stages coming, and they're actually going to be modified, so they'll be quicker to set up and take down for easier on and off of Center Street. We have a kids area with good, clean fun again, and Jason's Jump Castle is bringing out our castles for us. We have designated the kids areas to be alcohol-free. Our plan for that is to fence those areas in their entirety and put no alcohol beyond that point at the gates, and then have an area in front of that with tables and chairs for our parents to relax with food and drinks, and so their kids can play safely in the kids zone. Other than that, I know the city is going to handle our garbage recycling and street cleaner. We're going to have a little costume contest, so kind of a similar format to what we've done in the past. Nothing really different. Wasn't sure if there were any questions or concerns.
Thank you for including the no alcohol in the children's zone.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
It's important. Yeah.
All right, thank you, man.
Okay, thank you guys.
You guys have been busy.
Yes, very busy.
So I'm missing Tara. Oh, excuse me, it's right in front of me, I couldn't see you for looking. So just give us your name and Address, I asked Kelly.
I'm Tara Anderson. I'm the president of the Folly Beach Exchange Club. We have been operating on Folly Beach for 71 years this year. And we are always looking for fundraisers. And, you know, we have a golf tournament that we sponsor with y'all and with Fab. And so we want to do a pickleball tournament because it's gained a lot of popularity, and the Exchange Club wants to put one on this year in November, Friday, November 4th through Sunday, November 6th. So it would be the Friday, November 4th, Saturday, November 5th, and Sunday, November 6th. We want to have a men's and women's and mixed doubles, a chance to play for the coveted medal of Folly Beach Pickleball Championship. There'll be top 3 winners in each category. They'll receive medals. Everybody will get a jar of pickles with Folly Beach Exchange or Folly Beach Pickleball logo on it. They'll we possibly want a tent with burgers and hot dogs. There will be no alcohol. We'll have men's, women's, and mixed. The age groups will be 12 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, 60 to 69, and 70 plus. We'll have 4 teams in each group of 18 categories, and there'll be a total of 144 players. And we'd like to put it on at the Goodwin Park at 510 East Erie. And this is the proceeds from this. Is going to go to the Drew Wynn Foundation, awarding a scholarship for a veteran, hopefully a veteran on Folly Beach. But it'll be good.
My only question is, you got 144 players, that's 144 vehicles, where are you gonna put them?
Well, we will use a right-of-way parking, and then we'll have rules for all the people, and for the volunteers, we'll have volunteers parking on a separate block. We'll get, I'm sure we can get some people to allow the volunteers to park in their houses or wherever. We know everybody pretty much on Folly. And I think there'd only be, 20 volunteers or so?
There's, yeah, if that, but also they'll be staged out. I know,
Different hours.
yeah, only 4 teams, so you only have 8 players at any given hour.
But what if I wanna stay over to see who's playing next? If I win, I wanna see what my competition's gonna be like. I mean, yes.
Yeah, well, then you have 16, so, and normally, I think there's 2 courts that'll be used, but it'll, and normally you've got 16, 25 people playing at any given time during the week, so.
And they'll be all at the park. It's in November. It's fairly quiet. We don't have as much tourism in November. And, I mean, I think it'll make Folly, won't be such a place where everybody goes to drink and hang out and party. It'll be where everybody goes to get some exercise, have fun, and it'll be family oriented. Something different.
Before we get any other questions, I always gotta ask for a motion.
Moved.
From second. Now you got your question.
Okay, that's okay. So are you awarding the prizes that day? Because that actually would have people wait, that would have folks there'd be some congestion, so.
Well, I think what we're planning on doing is, they're categories. So at the end, you could, at the end of the day, have your category awarded. But,
It's something to think about.
A lot of
because
times
What's been mentioned to me
Maybe
from Bollywood is that they wanna have each night of the tournament, after it's over with, a different commercial entity having the after party, and they would do those things there. So all that stuff wouldn't happen in the courts, it would happen in the commercial district, where there's more availability, parking, pedestrian access, and all that kind of stuff.
Or they could give them away as they win.
that's kind of what we do for the golf tournament. We have at the end of the golf tournament, we have an award ceremony.
Right, and they're not sitting there in the residential area, they go somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some people show up, some people don't. A lot of people, they're tired after, they play pickleball, so they come back later and get their jar of pickles and their award or whatever.
Yeah, sounds good. And my only other question for clarity, as far as sponsorship, it says, Exchange Club in the city, which is cool. But now, the city, that means like we gave money, like last time. That means all that,
Community
right?
promotions gave them money, I think 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And whenever we release and let events like that happen, usually they name us as a sponsor, which
Okay.
is standard operating procedure.
And we have a number of other people that will sponsor for, t-shirts.
Sounds good.
But we would like for y'all to bless us.
Ta-da.
We'd like to bless us with y'all's approval to do this and make it the first annual and make it really fun.
Any other questions?
Mr. Broom,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Good job.
That's something you need to ask Dr. Holmes, but I guess you did.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Soccer Shots is up next, Mr. Gorman.
Good evening. Joey Gorman. I'm the owner of Soccer Shots Charleston. We're a local owner-operated franchise that serves the Tri-County area. We specialize in 2 to 8-year-olds, so you introduce soccer in a fun way at their level. We've been serving the residents of Folly Beach since 2017. That was the first time I stood before council and sought approval, and been on and off with COVID and everything else, but I just wanted to get back in front and request approval for Saturday mornings for the fall, using Folly River Park from 9 to noon, where anytime there's city events, anything like that, we cancel. We encourage everyone to be involved in the community. At the end of the day, we're for the community, we're for healthy lifestyles, we're for character development, and so the more we can partner with the events and everything else going on within each organization or city that we serve, we want to make sure that we're there for you. So,
Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, I love soccer way more than yoga, but we shut yoga down because we said, a while back, we have to stop commercializing the river park. It's there for residents' enjoyment, people walking by, and this is another 10-week program where it's gonna be in the park. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, but we said no commercial activity in the park.
We still have yoga in the park,
We cut her off of that, I thought. It's just
No.
donation based.
still in the park.
I know I said this when she
Oh.
came up. I just, we said no commercialism, so here we go again. We made a rule.
I know.
But as people come up, okay, well, you can have an exception, you can have an exception, you can have an exception. Why make a rule? Okay, we're gonna constantly give exceptions.
would it?
No commercialism of the other Folly River Park. It just got out of hand with everybody wanting to do different things. You say yes to one person, you gotta say yes to everybody. And the next thing you know, there's a birthday party or a wedding or a soccer program or something going on, and residents can't enjoy the park that they pay for. It just got out of hand.
So back in the day, what I recall is you actually gave sort of special, prices to residents. You tried to, you worked with the community coordinator, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Could you expand more on why that might, make it a little bit of wiggle room? I'm just trying to, I
Yeah,
know.
so
Go for it.
first, to answer your question, over the last seasons that we've run, we've served 21 unique Folly residents. So that's not including if they've done multiple seasons with us. So that's 21 children within the ages of 2 to 8 that are Folly residents with Folly addresses. When I first met the council in 2017, I was working with Colleen Jolly. She was the community coordinator. At the time, I don't know kind of the landscape right now, there was a Parks and Recreation Commission. We worked side by side with City of Charleston Rec Department, Island Pond Rec Department, St. Andrews Parks and Rec, Monk's Corner Rec, Goose Creek Rec. We worked with all the different rec departments, and it was a way to say, hey, we're here serving the community all across the area. If there's not a, government run recreation department, we want to help organize that, partner with you, and so we're saying, hey, we're the soccer people, and that's all we do. I'm here as a resource because of this is my 10th year working within Soccer Shots. For as far as with soccer in general, I've worked for 9 years. I had worked for 9 years for the Charleston Battery. So from 2 years old to the professional level, I have run the gambit. I've run camps, clinics.
So the answer is actually yes. You do give a discount to the
Yes,
resident. You do, that hasn't
Yeah.
changed. So, I do have a question, for Ms. Are you working together and sort of just kind of making, cause that's my history, was you did work with the previous community coordinator. Is this happening?
Yes.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, I was on the Parks and Rec when we brought it in, because one of the things that really, the island really needs is to stay healthy. And I think this is one program, there you go, along with yoga, surfing, pickleball, you name it. If we can all stay healthy, we'll be happier, we'll be more productive, and we'll live better as a community. So I'm with you, man.
So my question is, you only have one date for this?
Yes, sir.
17th?
Oh no, it's 10 weeks. So 17.
Okay, starting at 17th.
10 weeks, yeah, that's a lot, that's
Well-
more than one event. I, like I said, I have no problem with soccer.
Right.
No problem with healthy, but we just made a rule, no commercialism at Folly River Park, and we're gonna break it.
It doesn't have to be 10 weeks either.
I just wish it was a different location. If a different location, I'd have zero problems with it.
Right.
But
Okay, I'm gonna give you a different location, 3rd Street parking lot. We close it down from 9 a.m. till 12 on Saturdays, starting September 17th for the run of this program.
I'm 100% fine with that. If that works.
You know where that's at, where the restrooms are down here at 3rd Street?
I know, but I can find it.
Yeah, you'll have as much room as you did down there.
It's not all grass like the park, but it was give you more space. You have the restrooms.
Okay.
That's a great spot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for us, we just need space. Wood chips, we got on pavement.
Yeah, you probably have more space, actually,
Okay.
open space down there.
Okay. We're easy going. Again, like I said, we want to partner with the initiatives of the city and the residents, so.
Are there car bumpers to delineate parking spots that would get in the way?
No, because you got big open spaces on both sides.
I'm flexible. I'm back in the day, so.
Okay, any other questions or comments? So this would be for 3rd Street parking.
So you, are you making an amendment to the motion to approve?
Yeah,
I should vote on that.
well, yeah, okay.
So you said.
to move to Third West, yeah, 100%.
So I'll make it as an amendment to move the location from Folly River Park to, what do you call that joint down there? 3rd Street parking?
3rd Street, the bathhouse.
Okay.
Ocean Park.
Ocean Park, 3rd Street, bathhouse, Ocean Park.
It's a gravel lot. You can do what you do on a gravel lot. Is it safe for the kids?
I mean, I can go check it out. We run on, like I said, we've been on concrete pads, so.
It's more like shells. Yeah, it's more like shell sand. It's not big pieces of gravel.
At one point, we were out on the beach.
Yeah, so it's more like, yeah, it gets closer to that than it is grass. Okay, on the amendment.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Farland,
No.
Mr. Grooms,
No.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Mr. Ellis,
No.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
I vote no, because I vote put it back in the park. Hey, Robert's Rules of Order says I can't talk against my amendment, but I can vote any way I want.
All right, so what do we have in the end?
Sit back in the park,
Back to the park.
back to the original spot. Okay,
Mr. Ellis,
No.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Grooms,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
No.
Mr. Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
yes.
passes.
All that to get you right back to the
I was on my toes.
Government.
The next one's even worse. Hang on. The next one, we're gonna talk about a rain garden. I will say this, I think it's fair to say that at the end of this process, we're gonna be looking at all of our processes again.
Yes, sir.
So this is like,
At the end of what process?
So,
all of the, at the end of this process, at the end of 10 weeks, we're gonna look at all of our, like, basketball, whatever. No.
Recreation.
Going forward. Thank you. Recreational opportunities going forward.
Did y'all get a copy of this?
Yes.
Hey everybody, Kim Morganello. I'm a Folly resident, 1620 Oak Island Drive, and I also work for Clemson Extension and coordinate a program called Master Rain Gardener. We teach professionals and residential audiences how to design and install rain gardens and rainwater harvesting systems for the sake of water management, water conservation, and environmental stewardship. So this course is a hybrid course. It started in 2018, and so what that means is we do 4 to 5 weeks of online training, and then we do a 1-day field session where we design and install a complete system in that day. So in the past, we've worked at MUSC Urban Farm, the Parks Conservancy, a couple of the City of Charleston parks, Medway Community Garden, and this year we'd like to do it at the Folly Beach Community Center. So what that looks like is that we bring our participants in the certification track, which usually are landscape designers, installers, landscape architects, to come in. Typically they're from all over the state. We have about 20 to 30 people there as participants, and I bring in instructors from around the state. Usually we have about 8 instructors there. And we install the system over the course of the day. The program would pay for all the materials. We basically use our registration costs to pay for the plants and the soil amendment and the mulch. And I did that quick rendering that I think you all saw, that has a cistern on it, but we can downsize to the rain barrel if y'all prefer, which is something below 100 gallons, so a little bit smaller, but that can all, change as we get closer. And I've been working with Jenna and Eric, and we talked about potentially also doing an additional rain garden behind the community center as more of like a shade garden there near the memorial garden, where there's not too much going on there between some of the paths, so it wouldn't really interfere with existing use.
Do you have a motion?
I made your motion, we approve the rain garden. I think it's a great idea. I think it looks great. I know you did a quick rendering, but that was pretty nice.
Cool, thanks.
When y'all looking at other things going forward, you have a really nice bridge to nowhere with some ugly rocks on either side.
Oh, great.
It used to be wet, but now it's dry. I mean, I don't know how hard it would be to get water from the back corner of the building to there. I mean, just something to look at.
Sure.
Would be neat on either side of that bridge to have a garden.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so I'm very biased. I love this stuff. Okay, so how in the world did we benefit as far as, is it because we're wonderful and it's you and this is just a great program?
She loves the mayor.
Oh my God. Boy, this is gonna be hard to say no to. So are we like saying today, I'm just asking, that we're gonna do the front and maybe that back with the path to nowhere? I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, I think what that will depend on for me is how many people we end up having participating.
Right.
So if we have a really big class, I'll probably wanna go ahead and do two projects, just to
Okay.
split it up.
And do you need any, but like, what do you need? Do you need? what
So
type-
I've talked to Jenna and Eric about it. We'd need, really from y'all, the biggest thing is just the site prep. The main labor involved is, we'll go down about 10 to 12 inches. And Eric indicated there was a small excavator that could help with that. And then really though, the main thing would be the long-term maintenance. And I provide a maintenance plan. It's really basically just a landscape bed. So like any other landscape bed, it would need some weeding, a couple times a year. These are native plants, so they can get big, and so they need to be, kind of culled, and maybe some additional mulch from time to time.
One last question, I promise. would you be willing to educate others, like come to a meeting, maybe civic club? Well,
Sure,
you know,
of course,
and just,
yeah.
okay.
Definitely.
She's trying to get a speaker.
Well, I'm like, now I'm
That is always
like,
yes.
okay, people.
Kim, I think it's a great idea. Oh, and you answered my maintenance questions. What are the chances of presenting this to residentials to install cisterns and water barrels throughout the island on residential with, and again, there's something down the road, but you know, where we could possibly subsidize some of this, because as we all know, good water is going away, and be able to collect water for our gardens or even for gray water use throughout the island, I think it would be beneficial, not only from, and sorry, but using less water, Kyle, but also helping the environment as well. So I would like to, come to you possibly later on and see if we can figure out a way to start a program like that, so we could, because Australia, I don't know if you've ever been to Australia, but they do it like every house has one.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. I have worked with the city of Charleston, there's a Charleston Rainproof program
Okay.
where they provide $200,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
that is something
Okay,
I think
I'd love to talk to you about that.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
thank
sure.
you.
Was Eric satisfied with the maintenance from the, thanks.
And Eric knows where I live. if it's any-
That's very good.
Any other questions?
Eric, no costly utility conflicts in the ground there?
Kyle and I know where all of them are.
There aren't any of these sites?
Nothing we can't do with.
Dial 511.
We'll find one that day.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Pope.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Farley,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Barker,
Yes.
Dr. Houghton,
Yes.
Mr. Broom,
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin,
Yes.
passes.
Mr. Ezell.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Mike and Wendy Ezell with Folly Beach Chair Company. We started Folly Beach Chair Company in 2008, so this is our 15th year in operation. Folly Beach Chair Company is categorized as a social enterprise, and you may be familiar with the term, but it's essentially a for-profit company that builds into its business model community service. So basically, you take a percentage, or you set aside a portion or percentage of your plan to give back to the community that allows you to thrive. And the way that we do that with the chair company is a couple of ways, but we donate our time. We donate, we participate in beach sweeps. I personally just participated in my 50th beach sweep over 15 years in Folly Beach. My wife is one of the leaders on the FAB Litter Committee. We're conservationists. We're raising a family of conservationists. Stewardship and conservation is the foundation, and it's of the Folly Beach Chair Company, and it always has been. We became certified from Surfrider Foundation in our first 2 weeks as official stewards of the beach. The other way that we provide resources as part of the social enterprise is donations. We donate our equipment. We've donated equipment to Surfers Healing for 14 years. We donate, in fact, we donated a canopies and beach chairs, the same rental canopies and beach chairs to pet helpers for their charity auction. And I got a call the other day, 2 days ago, from a Folly family, the Burks. I think y'all know her. And she was super excited because she won the auction. And she said, well, I want you to set this thing up for our family this Wednesday. So she's talking about tomorrow. And I had to say, I'm so thankful that you supported the pet helper thing, but I don't know how to say this, but we may not be able to set this thing up for you. I'm going in front of council to hopefully get permission to do it, and I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. We'll find a way to make it whole, but I don't know what to say here. And she goes, well, I know Mayor Tim, and I know DJ, and I know everybody up there. I'm gonna send everybody an email, and I'm pretty sure she did that. But that's not it. So this coming Saturday, we're also donating, we've got the Low Country Orphan Relief. It's having their big beach day they do every year. It's 150 kids having a great time on the beach. We have set up canopies, the same rental canopies, and beach chairs for them for years. And I had to call their director and say, Christina, I've got an issue here. I'm not sure what I can do. That one's going to be a little tough to figure out if we don't get permission to do this. But donations are at the key of what we do as a social enterprise. I will even say that the very same rental canopies that we're going to ask permission for are the exact same rental canopies that we set up for public safety when we blocked off access to the island. They used our canopies 24/7, all night long for months. Those are our canopies protecting, providing shelter to public safety officials. So that was a source of pride for us too. That was a source of pride for us to drive by that point at the bridge, for the kids in our car to say, hey, Dad, those cops or the police officers are underneath our canopy. That's a great thing. They're underneath our tent. Well, that was an example for us to show them what community is about. And as a social enterprise and people that take it seriously, that's important to us. Let's see. What else back here? So, no, I don't want to stay where I'm at, but you certainly can say whatever you want. What do you got?
A wise married man.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say that I've watched Mike work almost every day of our marriage in this business, and I don't know anybody. Well, maybe Eric works harder than Mike, but not many people work harder than my husband.
He's the worker of the year.
Yeah, and today, just so everybody's aware, we're asking to be able to continue the use of the canopies and coolers that we've been renting.
So, yes, exactly. She wants me to get to the ask. I'm sure you all want me to get to the ask too. We are here to formally ask for permission for you to formally add four items, to the list of approved stuff on our franchise contract, and that would be canopies and coolers, cornhole, and boogie boards. Included in the packet is a big conversation about conservation and why these are important for the direction Folly's gone with more family-friendly atmosphere. And I'm happy to talk about that, and I'm happy to talk about and answer any questions about the how and the why and how we got there, but we formally want to ask for permission to add that to our contract.
So you haven't asked. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
No, a second?
Motion for what?
For his ask.
Well, I mean, he asked whatever he wanted to, he's made it, what are you motioning to approve?
Well, I want the opportunity to address part of what was said, I think council's probably not prepared to address all of the asks.
Well, no, what is your motion? If your motion isn't for what he asked, what is your motion?
My motion is for discussion of I believe the event, the charitable event, your contribution to it is this weekend as it relates to the orphanage. That's what I would like to discuss. His ability to continue to support that.
How about this? Okay.
That doesn't have anything, well, go ahead. He made a motion to discuss this charitable event, but it really doesn't have anything to do with his ask.
How about this for an ask? Make a motion to approve the usage for the Low Country Orphan Relief event this weekend, and that's it. And then we can discuss.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I'm okay with that because we have gotten some feedback that is a large event, but everything else needs to wait until next month. Your first question here was you wanted an official ordinance statement. We have to do that next month. We can't do that tonight by personal appearance.
Is it my understanding that we cannot add items to it tonight?
It is, yes, we cannot add items to it tonight. Your first sentence in your letter to us said you wanted a formal order change. That's something we're gonna have to look at next month.
Understood.
But for this one charitable event you have next weekend.
So let me say this, and I'll be glad to conduct a meeting with Rich, but if you look on page 20 of his thing, what he said he set up from Christina Lope and Mary Brooks from the Low Country Orphanage celebrating their annual Folly Beach Day It's basically umbrellas and chairs, not canopies. So why can't he just set up umbrellas and chairs as he did before?
There's a picture of them right
One
here, there's a canopy behind
I
us.
said, basically, most of them are umbrellas and chairs, not the one canopy. So why not just use umbrellas and chairs?
Can
I don't know.
address that or answer?
That's why I'm asking questions, but we couldn't ask it without a motion.
So why, I mean, you provided a picture.
Right, and it's got a
There's one.
canopy in the picture. I'll tell you, because they have this awesome event on one of the busiest Saturdays of the summer.
I know, I've been there.
So, right, and so, we are booked with chairs and umbrellas. And so we've started using the canopies. We used the canopies last year, and the goal was to use more canopies for this group, this year. And so I'm gonna face a situation if I can't use the canopies to basically be overbooked for people for just regular visitors that have paid for their chairs and umbrellas. So,
So you answered the question.
yeah.
Any other questions? You got a question?
I do.
Well, jump in there.
Hey, dive into the deep end. Mr. Pope, I do need some clarity about some of the chronology, how we've worked, with you all or haven't. So, could you just update me in brevity about how we got here today?
That's really irrelevant.
Well,
For the motion that's on the floor, that's really irrelevant.
Well, it's relevant for me because to me, we're in a situation, and I'm just explaining myself, that, you know, if we wanna do something to at least get through the next week, I would like to know how decisions were made prior as far as, you know, could we have discussed this 2 months ago? How did we get here? It helps me make a decision. If it's irrelevant, then
Dr. Howard, I only asked for the one event, not for the next
Yeah,
week,
it's not-
just this
it's
one charity event.
It's about
and that's
half a
it.
day on Saturday.
With ordinance changes, we have to discuss that next month, as we discussed earlier, we can't
Maybe
do that.
readdress the council. Our ask is, if the ordinance has to be changed formally and it takes months or so to do that.
No, we're not doing that now. Thank you. We're in the middle of a motion and a discussion on the motion, so.
okay,
So,
so,
Dr. Houghton, so the most recent round of discussions started probably in mid-June, early June. We had reports of tents and coolers being rented on the beach.
okay,
And we looked at the franchise agreement, it doesn't allow tents and coolers. We looked at the ordinance, it says that vendors can't expand their products without approval from council. So I called Mike and we had a meeting and I said, Mike, you guys are renting tents and coolers, and other things, they're against your franchise agreement. Do you have any, you know, what records do you have to show how long you've been doing this, has it ever been approved, that sort of thing. We did talk about a previous meeting in 2016 that Mike had with the city, that talked about whether or not other items should be added to the franchise agreement.
Let's rephrase that. Didn't have a meeting with the city, had a meeting with the city
Right,
administrator.
the city administrator to discuss the franchise agreement, need for, you know, is there a need to revise what can be offered, what can't be offered. No action was taken after that meeting to formally change the ordinance or the franchise agreement.
okay,
But
that
this-
helps.
And so, but Mike did, after that meeting, Mike did stop taking new reservations and recognizing the fact that he'd been operating and not wanting to pull the rug out from under it. We said, okay, no new reservations. He did that voluntarily, and then we gave him till August the 6th to clear out existing reservations.
I appreciate that, thank you.
Any other questions on the motion? Which is for 1 day. You-
Looking at me.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes,
Dr. Houghton,
yes.
Mr. Grooms. Yes. Mr. Farley.
Yes.
Mr. Barker.
Yes.
Mayor Goodman.
No,
Passes.
1 day.
Okay, so, can we address, Mrs. Burke's, setup for tomorrow? I mean, it seems like.
Why don't you take what you got?
Well, I'll, if I can explain, so.
You can give it Mr. Burke, Mrs. Burke,
Mhm.
not on the beach, not set up.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. But it sounds like council has the ability to create a special situation.
No,
Next
now the
month, we can
floodgates
relook at
open.
the ordinance.
What's that?
Next month, we can relook at the ordinance, we cannot do it from where you're standing right now.
Okay, so.
It has to be something that we do ahead of time for
Can I
something that big.
request a motion similar to the last one, that you allow us to finish out the bookings that we have on order that were placed before we canceled it, but the people haven't come for the visit yet. It's gonna create a significant hardship to refund all the money for the people that booked in January.
I
for
think you're
something
pushing
that-
your luck.
I'm not trying to push my luck, I'm trying to.
I think you already are, but
Okay.
do I have a motion for him to finish out? No motion. You did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Citizen comments.
I will.
You commented on STRs, we're not talking about it tonight.
No STR comments tonight?
We're not talking about it. Got postponed to next month.
Have a good month.
Any other citizen
Thank
comments?
you.
have one.
But his is about, what's the public comment?
Good. Well, let's,
Hello, Hank Weed, Chief of Feds.
excuse me, put that back down. Thank you.
Hank Weed, Chief of Feds, 122 East Ashley.
You might as well wait for it.
1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Just here to address the 1122 again. For the past 3 months I've been here, and the setbacks aspect of that ordinance is what really affects my property, being 35 feet wide, 10-foot setbacks will bring that down to a 15-foot usable space in the middle. Pretty much said everything I can say. The planning commission was last week, and I believe their suggestion was to kibosh the setbacks aspect of that.
That's a misunderstanding, but go ahead. If they don't take the setbacks that was in place, you go back to the setbacks that's there already, so you already have a setback.
Correct, no additional setbacks.
It's not a zero setback, it goes back to the setbacks that's there right now.
No additional setbacks.
Well,
No increase
you wouldn't,
setbacks.
you wouldn't, the way this was written and the way that the city council did the percentage, you probably would end up in a worse place than you are right now with the percentage, which only gives you 5-foot setbacks.
Right.
So,
You're saying if this went through, I would have greater setbacks?
do what?
I didn't understand you, I'm sorry.
I'm saying if this went through, you would have a 5-foot setback as opposed to 10-foot setbacks if it goes back the other way.
So, and Jenna has a presentation on this, and we'll address that question.
But go ahead.
Well, that was it, just reiteration. And again, thank you all for listening to me for the past 4 or 5 months.
As my grandmother said, be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Any other citizen comments? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. My name's Andy Weathers, and I live at 1402 East Ashley. And I won't talk about the short-term rentals, but I wanted to make a couple of comments. So if you tell me it's not okay, then I'll refrain. I think with the lighting on the houses, especially the rental houses, I honestly think that the guests, visitors don't know that, you know, this particular light switch controls the floodlight upstairs on that corner of the house. I really think they don't know. So I think that's a problem for the turtles. I've lived here my whole life. You know, I've been here. I've seen I've seen the turtles come up and I've seen them turn away. And I even wrote a book about the lights, the unnatural lighting distracting the turtles. But I really think that's kind of a homeowner issue, to where if they just label the lights, or even better yet, just remove those light bulbs. I don't really think they need all that extra outdoor lighting just to light up their homes, especially during turtle season. So that's kind of a homeowner thing and a management thing. So also one time, years ago, I was showing property on Isle of Palms to some clients. And at first they were dead set on purchasing on Folly. And when we got over to, I think it was the Wild Dunes section, every home that we walked in, every screen porch, we looked out and we looked at the yard. And when we turned around to walk back into the house, next to the door was a sign beside the door about yay big. And it had the ordinance, the numbers that I can't recall because I don't remember things so well anymore. but it was about, your neighbor, and I think the time was like 9 or 10 p.m. It changed according to if it was during the week or on the weekend, but it talked about how you had to refrain from being out there on that porch because those homes are close together. But it addressed just talking or music or loudness or anything on that porch, and I thought that was really good. I think that another issue is, I think a homeowner could afford to purchase those signs if they were standard, if it was something that maybe the city made up and that it was a requirement that you have them. And I also think that under the house, I think that people, when they go under the house of a house on the beach, they think they're on an enclosed garage. I don't think they realize how loud the sound travels, or whether it's just talking, maybe they're having a few drinks and talking and laughing, maybe they're playing cornhole, maybe they've got some music going. I mean, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think they realize how that sound travels at night on the beach with the wind blowing it. So I think these beach rules, yeah, these are good, but I don't think that's enough, for our guests or our visitors. Or even new property owners. I don't think it's enough for them. And I think if you had a little sign that was on each property, I don't think it would be that expensive. I know Turtle Bay has little parking signs underneath all of their garages, but it's just something to think about. And also, on the beach rules, where it says parking, it says park parallel to the roadway. I had to buy signs that say resident parking only. I paid about $50 each for them from the city. I was required to buy them. But people that know these rules, they'll park parallel on our right of way, which is part of the yard, but it's in front of those, you know what I'm talking about, those resident parking only signs. They park right in front of them, they parallel park. So when I ask them to move, they want to tell me that, oh, we know our rights, we can park here. But
That's when you call them guys.
do I
And
really?
they'll explain their rights to
They're
them.
so busy, I need to bother them.
They'll be glad to explain.
For real, I can
Yes.
do
And
that?
if they got a warrant, then it might not be a good day.
Those guys will be glad to explain that sign, that city sign, that this is what it means.
Okay, well, like, if you ever revise these rules, maybe that could kind of be added. No parking in front of a residential parking only sign? Is that something that?
Within 10 years, seems like most people do it.
Yeah, signs don't mean a whole lot to a lot of people, but you have to enforce them.
Yeah, but this does, that park parallel to the roadway, that means everything to some of the people that,
Well, it should. They should pay attention, but when they park parallel to the roadway, right underneath the sign that says no parking here, guess what? They don't care if they park parallel to the roadway or not, they still get a ticket. So if they park in front of a sign that says residential parking only, they'll be happy to help you out.
Okay, thank you. Thank y'all for listening.
Thanks. Any other citizen comments? Oh, there you go.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Elizabeth Waldrop. I live at 119 East Cooper. I'm here, once again, it's nice to have gotten to know all you over these months. I'm here to ask that you not approve ordinance 1122, which is the last of the zoning ordinances. It's my opinion, Mr. Mayor and Council, that this disproportionately affects my lot, which is not even a half lot. There are already setbacks in place, and I'm simply asking that you not increase those. This has been before the Planning Commission. I appreciate the due diligence of the Planning Commission, the careful consideration and deliberation by the Planning Commission, and after much consideration, they asked that this ordinance be amended. They voted it out with favorable
And once again, they didn't understand what they were asking for, because it doesn't go to zero setbacks. It goes back to where the setbacks was originally.
Yes.
So you still end up with setbacks.
Yes, sir.
Okay, as long as you understand that.
Absolutely, I certainly do. And right now, my setbacks are 10 in the front, 10 in the back, and 5 on the sides. And I'm only asking that not be increased. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
Hi, everybody. Lisa Herbert, 114 East Ashley Avenue. Again, I thank all of you for listening to us since November of last year, actually, when this all started. And again, we are asking my father, who couldn't be here, that the ordinance not be approved as been read, as it affects our family and the fact that we will no longer be able to build a house that will house my family, my children, and my father, who very much needs care at this point. So I couldn't be here tonight, so we request you not approve it.
So I have one that came in from Mr. Wolf, who wasn't able to come up because of the elevator today, and to make accommodations for that, we have agreed to read his comment into the record. Sorry, I had to pull up.
I thought you had a hard copy.
So this is on behalf of Carl Wolf Jr. at 114 East Ashley. I've been attending meetings since November of 2021 due to the potential effects that ordinance 1122 has on my property. Unfortunately, I had another heart attack this past Thursday and was admitted to the hospital for several days. This was my third stay at MUSC this year. With the elevator being broken at City Hall for over a week, I cannot walk up the steps to be able to attend the meeting tonight, so I'm presenting this statement. For multiple reasons, I truly believe that as a handicapped 82-year-old resident citizen of the city of Folly Beach, that as a handicapped 82-year-old citizen, the city of Folly Beach is discriminating against me if the ordinance is passed as it currently reads. First, the ordinance affects very few properties, as most of the properties on the affected block are non-conforming uses or non-conforming lot sizes. In fact, if the ordinance is passed, there will only be one vacant lot that would meet the criteria of the new ordinance, as all others would either violate the new allowed uses, new setbacks, or size requirements. Second, I am very lucky that my daughter, her husband, and 4 children are willing to build a home that will accommodate me to live with them so that they can help care for me with my current health conditions. However, with the current random square footage requirements, there is no way we could build a house that would comfortably fit everyone. If the ordinance is passed without changes, I am not sure where I will be able to live and be cared for by my family. Third, my property value will be detrimentally affected if this ordinance is passed. I've met with my appraiser, Charles Samuelson, and he agrees that our property value will be diminished if the ordinance is passed as it currently reads. I was able to attend the Planning Commission last week and commend the members of the Planning Commission for listening to me and the other homeowners who attended the meeting. They've asked many questions, and I could tell they care about the citizens of Folly and how this ordinance will only adversely affect a few of us. Changes they are recommending passed unanimously, and I hope that Council will accept the recommendation for changes if the ordinance is passed. As I said at a previous meeting, Folly is known for being family friendly, and I hope that Folly will continue to be known for family friendly for years to come. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to ordinance 1122.
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
The Planning Commission met last Monday and voted to recommend approval of Ordinance 11 with 2 amendments. The first amendment they had was to remove the increase in the setbacks, and the second one was to exclude historic buildings from the square footage requirements, square footage limitations on a full-size lot. They said on a lot that goes street to street, that's a standard size lot, 10,500 square feet. So those are the 2 amendments. I have a document here that I pass out where I've broken down the setbacks between what's currently allowed, what is written in Ordinance 11, and what their amendment would do. So the first chart is what current ordinances require. If you have a single family or a 2-family home in the downtown commercial district, your setbacks are 10 feet in the front,
5 on the side, and 10 in the back. For all other uses, there are no setbacks. The second chart is what ordinance 11 would have implemented. That's 10 feet all around. Front, side, back, all uses. So that's an increase to the side setback for single and two family uses, and then it institutes setbacks for all of the uses. The third chart is what the planning commission amended, and I have their wording here, and it was to remove the increase in setbacks from the chart. So effectively, that takes the setbacks back to the R currently written in the downtown commercial district. 10, 5, 10 for single and two family uses, and then no setbacks for any other use. There's been some talk about the formula, the 14.3%. Right now, residential single family, residential two family, the side setback is calculated based on the width of the lot. And this fourth chart is mimicking the residential uses, or the residential setbacks, and putting in that 14.3% for side setbacks. So on a standard 70-foot lot, that is a 10-foot setback.
But for a half a lot,
For a 35-foot lot, that's 5-foot
5
side
foot
setbacks. For all uses. That's what this fourth chart is. So this, and this footnote at the bottom, that is also what we already have in the residential setbacks. There's a parameters around it. It's 5-foot minimum, 10-foot maximum for those setbacks within that formula, 14.3%.
On the half lots, if the half lot is still 70 feet wide, would that require them to do a 10-foot setback then?
Yes.
Unless it's amended?
I don't know we have a half lot that's 70 feet wide.
Ms. Waldrop's lot is
Yeah.
70 feet
If it's
wide.
cut in, if it's cut in
70
half.
feet wide, but
Yeah.
70 feet deep or whatever.
Right.
Right.
Just cut it
Under
this way versus that way.
Under this formula, under the 14.3%, that would still be subject, that would be 10 feet.
Thank you for that clarification.
Are we doing the 14.3?
That's just a proposal. I'm
That's
just
current.
showing what if we mimic the language under what we have currently for residential single family and two family, this is what it would look like.
Okay.
I'm just showing all the options and what's been presented.
So, Mr. Mayor, what was that you were describing how, Chico Feo's, if we do them? Okay.
You would just give him a 5-foot setback on either side instead of a 10-foot setback, because his lot's 35 feet wide.
So if we pass the, proposed amendment, then his setbacks would be?
No. If you pass the proposed amendment, let me go back to the chart here.
Mr. Ellis, do you mean the proposed planning commission?
Yes.
It would go back to 5 feet.
Okay.
Well, that's if it's a single family house. If he sells the place, they tear it down and make a single family house. If it's something else in the commercial area, then that depends on what it ends up being, is what the setback would be.
But right now it's 10, 5, and 10. So with the amendment, it would stay what it is right now.
That's right, for his lot.
So y'all want the amendment, right?
No, that would do it for every lot, would make it 10, 5, and 10, not just his.
Yeah.
The 14.3 would take the undersized lots and put them back because they're smaller than the normal lots. So like take the houses by the post office are a great example. They're right up on it. If this were through, they would have to be more of a setback there. So if say they tore down and built that, this gives more setbacks, because that's what we heard from people about at the community center. I mean, that whole campaign, we heard from people about those houses. That's what they were really, the size and the setbacks is what everybody was arguing about. Half of the purpose, I think, of us redoing all this was for those setbacks.
That's right. That was the whole purpose.
So I'm confused. They don't want it passed as it's written. They want it passed with the amendment, right? Can I ask them? I mean,
I think the idea is that we just don't increase more setbacks than we have currently. I think that's
Which if we pass the amendment, then you want ordinance 1122 passed, right, Lisa? Herbert?
I do not want to pass, no,
Even with the amendments?
no. If I had to take it, I would take it, but.
But the setbacks would be the same.
Correct. My problem is not
Well,
setbacks, it's the
we need to move forward. If you don't have any questions of Ms. Stevens right now, we need to move forward to the ordinances, get on into the new business and old business.
Jenna, did you talk about the other two amendments? The heated square footage cap and the multifamily housing?
Multifamily housing, there was no amendment for that. Only other amendment was the exempting historic structures, which we decided was 50 years old, exempting them from the square footage limitations. So if the limitation is 3,600 square feet for a property, and there's already an existing 50-year-old building, that would not count towards that 3,600 limit. That was
Well,
the second amendment.
and that's a whole different discussion here, because I feel like if you're gonna exempt a building on a lot, and you're gonna increase 3,600 square feet to 5,000 square feet, basically, and you're gonna, because you're saying you're preserving a 50-year-old building, and I think that building ought to be brought up to all codes, building codes, floodplain codes, and also should be written in there that if that building is burnt down, blowed down, tore down, there's no replacement.
That's what I was gonna, was there any discussion about that with planning commission? Cause it, once again, we're trying to pass a rule, but the first one to come up, we're changing it. And I love these guys, don't get me wrong, I've spoken to them several times, but this is what the intent was, this is what we've caught so much flack about, that people don't want to see again. So, I mean, the only way, if it wasn't gonna be rebuilt, that's the only way I would feel comfortable with it at all. But there wasn't any discussion about that.
Yeah, the amendment as it is was just to exempt those homes from square footage.
How long was the meeting, out of curiosity? Was it 10 minutes, 15?
It was one of our longer ones.
Okay.
It might
Afraid they were
have,
racing to get out of there.
it might have been 45 minutes.
This would just be for, this is just for the downtown commercial. I wonder how many properties have a 50-year-old building on them?
I don't know, but this
I
would be.
know we have one, but I
This
wonder.
would be specific for that, and it might be Mr. McClellan's building next door. I don't know when that building was built.
It'd
So
be
it could be
specific,
two,
be specific to what?
downtown commercial.
Right. But is there any idea how many 50-year-old buildings are in downtown commercial?
I don't know the
Possibly
construction
two.
date, but I'd say, Hank, your building was probably built prior to 1970. Harry Erickson's complex may have been built prior to 1970. It's on the ground. Phil McClellan has an old house on his lot. The Wolves have an older house on their lot.
So it's every lot down there.
Snapper Jack's at the corner.
Well, I
and
think it's
Bert's on the other
about
corner.
filled. Harry's about filled.
They're all maxed out, yeah, except for those two.
It's just the two properties that aren't already filled.
Well, you got two houses on Chico Fayos lot, one in the front and one in the back, and both of them is probably about the same construction date, I would imagine.
1918.
Yeah.
I have a picture of the tax map, if that would be helpful, that shows all of that on it.
I'm satisfied with the
Okay.
mayor's recollection of it.
All right, any other questions from Ms. Stevens?
I just wanted to know, what was the 65 years? What was the historical?
50 years.
50.
50.
Accurate.
They just pick that number.
Yeah, and I believe the Herbert home is almost 100 years, so well, in excess of the 50. And as I also
100? That's good.
Well, it was 1930s construction, 90 years. And as I also understand, in the context of this particular historic property, they can likely accommodate what they need to for their family in terms of the square footage build out and a more efficient new construction of 3,600 square feet, which would require them to tear down the existing
right.
structure. And I don't know, I know it's.
So you're right back to where we were in the beginning, what everybody was complaining to you guys about is you're right back to those kind of houses like right at the post office, right downtown on Ashley Avenue, right next to the Birds. I mean, so here we go again.
Yeah, I understand that, but I know separately, there has been discussion in the past about historic preservation and the importance of keep maintaining some of these structures that have, are steeped in history of Folly. And I hate to see that outcome occur if there's a way to accommodate what they're asking.
Well, they can build a house, they just can't build as big a house as they want to build. That's the outcome, basically.
It sounds as if that doesn't meet their needs, so they would have to tear down what they have to build a 3,600 square foot home that is divided in a way that it would support the needs of the family.
Yes. Okay, any other questions from Ms. Stevens? All right, we're gonna move into the old business, ordinance 1122. Ordinance amending the standards of the downtown commercial district by amending table 16401 to eliminate multifamily use and table 16501 dimensional standards to increase the required setbacks and set the maximum height to 40 feet for 3 stories. Have a motion for approval?
So,
Have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll make a
Beyond
motion.
where you been? I said, any discussion beyond where we've been?
Oh, I'd make a motion, we would make the setbacks to the 14.3 formula from residential one.
Second.
Okay, any discussions on the amendment, on the motion?
What was it?
The
fourth one.
14.3 formula, so if it's an undersized lot, you know, your setbacks are based on your actual width and not just a guarantee, you know, it has to be 10. I know it takes Chico back to 5, but I don't want it for all the lots like planning commission wants, because that's what we're trying to get away from. Undersized lots are different, I mean.
Okay. And Councilman Rich, just for clarity, that'd be the scalable setback for all uses.
Yes, sir. Yeah, just as written on Jenna's lovely chart.
My understanding is that would not affect each of the 3 in the same way. I think there might be a winner, but also 1 or more losers.
So,
But it's basically gonna just affect the 35-foot lot.
That's, I mean, anything undersized, just because they're anomalies. I'm fine with it. If it's a regular size lot, that's what we were trying. We need that 10-foot setback on a size lot. That's one of the things we talked most slack about.
Okay, any other discussion, questions on the motion for 14.3 or,
The amendment.
number 4, yeah, the amendment?
Mr. Brooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Barker?
No.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Back to 1122. Any other discussion? All right, give it a call. As amended with 14.3% formula. Yeah, we need to write that down because we just did that.
Mr. Barker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Brooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
I mean, no, I'm sorry. I mean, no, let's not go through the rescind process.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Let's special meeting, I'll be late.
Passes as amended.
Okay. And that's it. That was the second reading.
That was the first reading.
Oh, excuse me, that was the first reading, yeah. Well, I can't read August the 9th is late. Okay. Being old business coming back is what's confusing sometimes. 2422, an ordinance amending Folly Beach Code of Ordinances 72.24 time parking on Center Street by the removal of exemptions for residential parking passes and time parking areas. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
And this is the second reading, and this is notice to all folks who have a residential parking pass as of this reading, as of tonight, as of tomorrow morning at 0600, you're not exempt from the 2-hour limit, okay? We need to put that boldly on our webpage somewhere too to advertise that change if it goes through. We need a motion to approve?
Got it.
Okay.
Just
Can I
for
say,
discussion.
is it time?
Yeah.
Can I, okay. As with the last reading, the only thing I would like to add, because I went out again, is this is purely for Center Street, is my understanding.
That's the only place that's time parking.
Okay, so then that means, one of the questions I have later on, is it possible on the side streets of the city buildings, which is in my mind, the community center and the city hall, to designate them as, you know, kind of run in and out for residents, later on. I'm not saying now, since we're just looking at 7th Street.
I don't know, because we're in a parking plan dilemma with SC DOT right now, so I would just leave it alone.
Okay,
Right
and
now.
are they going to make us then, which would kind of make me sad, but I'm sure there's a plan, that in front where the motorcycles are, in front of the.
Nobody's mentioned it.
No,
Hush.
so the DOT.
Hush, quit.
I'm
Now's the
like-
time to stop.
Okay, I'm on TV now, I'm like,
Okay.
oh my God.
You're done. Now's the time to quit.
Well,
Quit while you're ahead.
Okay, so we all heard that, folks. I'm like,
We took 4 parking places and made 15 parking places out of them, so the DOT's that's not on their radar right now.
Just for clarity, this isn't something that council came up with that we wanted to do. This was something that we were demanded to do by the state DOT.
Yeah.
Is that right, Joe?
I'm telling you, yes.
Is there
Joe don't know,
anything-
he wasn't in the meeting.
Well, legally, is there anything we can do?
I mean, we couldn't just take away the fines.
I would advise doing what DOT asks.
Thank you.
DOT said they don't want us doing residential passes, but we could just make it it's not fine, it's just back to the way it used to be before we started finding it, it's 2-hour parking.
Right, but this wasn't our choice. A lot of people think council is taking one more thing away from residents.
Absolutely.
That's just not true.
Yep.
So when did something just not being true, when's that ever been relevant?
Okay.
You've been trying to explain there, but.
All right, guys, let's don't get carried away. We've been carried away long enough. So back to the ordinance. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
No.
Dr. Hilton?
No.
Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, so the next one's been postponed. So we're at new business 2922, ordinance amending the Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, chapter 151, protecting loggerhead sea turtles by creating section 151.50, penalties for enforcement as a civil penalty for violation of turtle lighting and lighting requirements. Have a motion for approval?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion, further discussion? Okay.
Dr. Hilton?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
No.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodman?
Yes.
Passes first.
All right, guys, let me make a statement here before we get started. Because I cannot abstain from voting.
Wait, we got one more first, don't we?
No, I'm 3022. Oh, excuse me. But this is.
3022 is the noise civil.
Well, I passed it stuck together. Hang on. Excuse me. Oh, 32. So, yeah, stuck together. 3022. Thank you. I can't.
I like where you're going.
I can't wait to get to
I like where you're going.
Oh my God.
Okay, ordinance 3022, an ordinance amending Folly Beach Code of Ordinances, chapter 131 noise, section 131.35. Challenge penalty for violation of noise ordinance to a civil penalty.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Joe's gonna find us a better word for that. Go ahead.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Dr. Hilton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes first.
So, back to my resolution 3222. Can I do it now? Since I
100%.
can't abstain from voting and it's not my money, if y'all end up in a tie, I'm gonna vote on the side that says you don't spend any money. I'm telling you that ahead of time. So I don't know where this is gonna end up. I don't know where it's gonna go. So resolution 3222 is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 3 RITC hard coolers to replace broken coolers paid from the city council discretionary fund. Oh, you.
It's actually art.
Yes,
Have some
it is RTI.
art?
I have props.
Oh, props, okay.
What see what
Props.
It's funny when you go around front, so people.
Visual
Oh my
aid.
God, oh please, no, it wouldn't.
If you're gonna use a prop, you might as well use it all the way.
People are filling those rinse.
Thank you. Okay, so how did we get here today?
We're
Well,
asking the same question.
exactly, that's why I'm bringing my prop. So, long story short, what happens is we go to these events. And I'm like, is that the best cooler we could have for our community events in case of a hurricane and also maybe DPW? So, yes, I did, I take it, whatever. That, so I asked the chief and other people, and they were like, that's as good as it gets. Okay, I mean, true. So then I said, well, we do have discretionary money, so why not, folks? So what I did was really ask for the research to be done. All right, we're good, honey. Next segment. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, God bless you, Rocky. God bless you.
You can come back.
So, okay, good. Nice, thank you.
So, they have supply money in their budget, right?
Okay,
So why are we doing that council discretionary
Okay,
is
so
my problem.
anticipating that question,
Good.
exactly. I went back and researched the purpose of the discretionary fund. Of course, they all could have said in this major budget, okay, do I have $350 for this, for that, for da. But you know what, to be honest, I was like, isn't that what our miscellaneous and discretionary fund is for?
No, that's what
It's
their
like-
miscellaneous supplies funds are
And
for.
then, as you can see, this is one of those kind of debates which I actually love because in the end, you know, do they need the coolers? Yes. Where the money comes, you know, we'll support it. So in my mind, it really is worth under about $1,000 to have everyone share 3 coolers. What is it? They last 7 days in case of a hurricane, so on and so on and so forth. So that level of detail, you know what I expected? Not necessarily, because that's why we have discretionary funds. So that's why I brought a prop. That's really the story. And the other thing I can tell you is during one of the family-friendly fun nights where there was ice cream, it all melted. So that was a heartbreaker. And that's all I'm saying is that's why I do come to my colleagues and say, can we take 1,000 out of the 6,000 and buy the coolers?
I make a motion to amend it to say a resolution authorizing the purchase of 3 coolers to replace broken coolers paid from the mayor's discretionary fund.
Oh,
You can't do that
Why not?
because.
Because why?
Then you can't vote on my money. 'cause
And
you
then
don't vote
who
on my money.
votes? Then, who votes then?
I get to vote for it. Not y'all.
Oh my word.
Alright, we're getting off track.
Yep.
I sort of, this early in the budget year, I'd like to hang on to what is very limited money for our discretion, but I would support any budget change request the chief has to take it out of his, but we need it. But I think these are have to haves, not want to haves. And have to haves should come out of the department budget, and he should be allowed to do that. If it would have been in the budget a month ago, I'd approved it then. But I'll approve any change, but I just think our discretionary money is so limited that within 30 days of the start of the fiscal year, we ought to just be a little bit tighter with it. But I'd support any budget change request. If you find money anywhere that you can change to purchase these, I'd support that. But I'm not going to support spending it out of this pot.
Big difference.
We don't have the funds in the account to spend. We'd have to take them from our reserve account, no less.
Well, it's August and the budget just started in July. If it were May or June, it'd be a different story, but I'm sorry, we just approved everybody a brand new budget. If they can't find $300 for a cooler, come on now. Everybody knows there's wiggle room in y'all's budgets.
Well, obviously, none of y'all worked all week long to go out on Center Street and wake up on Saturday broke. Spend the money, you got it, let's spend it. Let's get the coolers. I mean, what does it matter? I don't understand the time limit. I'm gonna support you, Doctor.
Well, to be honest, I'm used to coming out of the gates of a budget and doing what we can. And later on, if we need to go past 6,000 or someone comes up with something better, but why wait? And there it was, and yeah, I've dug my heels in on these 3 coolers. I mean, I admit it.
That's a bad hill to die on.
And it's debatable, and I love debate and disagreement, but, in some ways I see it that we should support it, frankly.
Alright, now if it's a tie, it fails.
I believe me, I've been fully informed.
Okay. Mr. Pope.
Mr. Barker.
No.
Mr. Farley.
No.
Mr. Groom.
Yes.
Dr. Houghton.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. Rich.
No to the no.
Very good.
Andrew, you need to start looking for some money.
They're not just public safety.
All right.
This straight.
All right, well, let's make one more point, guys. We have a hurricane, we do have emergency power, and we do have like stuff that refrigerators do work, and that kind of stuff, so it's not like.
Can you help staff find $900?
What's mayor discretionary looking like?
It don't look very good, that's what it's looking like.
Just
Resolution
added money.
33-22, a resolution authorizing the purchase of city logo pins paid from the council discretionary fund. Have a motion for approval.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, down to discussion, here you go.
Okay, digging into the deep end again. And I've looked at dividing up to 6 fairly, I really looked at this record. And I don't know, maybe I'm hokey, but back in the day when I came to the island, it's no show and tell, I thought it was the nicest thing that someone gave me a little pin and I was like, wow, put it on your lapel, blah, 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 blah. So one might say, I'm going to go fast, because obviously I've thought about this. Why 1,000? Why this? Why that? Nickels and dimes. Okay, so I really did do the price fake. Each one of this is $1. It's $1,000 coming out of that fund. And in my opinion, just mine, I was like, how cool is that? You have them in your pocket, meet somebody at the PO, thank you, thank you, thank you, or whatever, or a Halloween carnival, put it on your lapel. You often see people on TV or whatever, a nice little politician in the lapel. So, fact of the matter is, whatever time this is when we spend the money, my gesture is to want to share this and give you all a thank you. And when the pins come in, if this passes, that's what I would love. Now, other people later on, which I would be fully supportive, but however, I am doing this early, other council might come up with another apparel statement or want to give something else away. I don't know, but that is my little spiel about the pins.
You forgot one thing, you use them as golf ball marker.
You could do that, listen, but and the children, who doesn't want a pin?
I can tell you a lot of people, to follow up what you just said, I had a ordinance I was gonna put up, because when we have the kids up here, I felt like giving them the pins, nobody wears them anymore. Thought they like hats and stuff, but what it showed me was that we're all thinking differently on what we do. I've been on council long enough where I don't need a whole lot of new shirts. I get like one a year, but I get hats and give them out. People love those all over the island. They love them. You want to do pins. Everyone wants to do different. So I'd like to make a motion to amend that instead of buying pins with all of them, we take that $1,200 and increase our personal allotment of money, and then you can do whatever you want with them. If you want to buy pins with yours, go for it. If I want to get hats, go for it. Cost of apparel's gone up. So when you do council member, really with our $200, you're getting 1.5 shirts with the logo on them. So to help people, if you need to get shirts or a hat, then do it. If you want to get something to give the community, go for it.
You have to bring that next time as a different resolution here. I think that's way too far out to just say it's an amendment for this one.
No, I think that it's gonna affect. Just switch it. It's gonna affect how the money, right? How the ordinance gets
It's gonna affect, that's what I'm saying,
And
that
affects
really what Mr.
Changing the
Richards said,
intent
he
too
needs to
much.
bring it up next
Okay.
month and as a different resolution.
Let's postpone it. And,
That's fine, then I withdraw. I withdraw my amendment, no problem.
Okay.
well, I like
Easy
that.
enough.
I would vote for your amendment.
I'll
I
bring
like
it back
that
up next time
idea.
when this one fails.
You know, I appreciate that support. It's not like I didn't anticipate some of this debate, and I know it's getting late. So if we are saying that there's $6,000 and there's 6 of us, if folks want to, I'm not sure what you just said, but want to take 1,000 apiece fairly.
No. I was just saying the 1,200 you had presented, not all of our discretionary. Just this, instead of buying 1,000 pins with it, that you like the pins, well, I don't really care for like something else. We all have different needs. We all get what we want instead of just the pins.
Well, wait a minute.
$200
Hang
a
on a
piece.
second, hang on a second, and I misunderstood what you said, and I think some other people did too, probably. So what you're saying is you take,
Just the 1,200 that she had allotted.
you take a 3322 instead of saying 1,000 for the pins, you're gonna break it up to. Your motion is to take $1,200 and break it into 6, and each of you have $200 to spend on whatever you want to hand out.
Yeah, that's where I was going with
That's
that. We
the
can't come up
motion.
with something common, so
Okay.
let's just do
So
it.
there's the motion for amendment, do I have a second for that amendment?
Second.
All right, y'all talk about your amendment if you need to.
I mean, I guess I wanna talk about it. No, I wouldn't support it, obviously. And, you know, I'm a team player, so
You-
wherever this goes, it goes.
But you can get 200
You still get
pins.
200 pins, what we got?
No,
That's a lot
I
of
can't.
pins.
Price break, I mean, to be truthful, I've done so much research on it, anticipating this debate, frankly. No, it actually means, because then it's like $250 a piece, it's a price break. Honestly, it's more my intention and why I do things. So if that is not what people wanna do, you know, it's down to a vote and I'm good with it. But $200, I mean, it's,
Technically gives you 400,
how did that give me more?
because we already have 200 allotment every year that we put in there, so this doubles at 400. So that way you can actually buy more if you wanted to. Some people
200 from
already,
where? I mean, we have 6,000.
slow down. We get 200 a year individually if you wanna buy the shirts or anything like that we get for our
Okay.
personal, and I stop by shirts, just buy hats to give away with my allotment.
So my own
So that's just
personal
adding to
one.
it, so you can buy more pins than you
I've
think.
already bought a Letterman jacket. I'm like,
Well,
rah,
then,
rah,
I mean, if you've already.
I'm like,
you know,
can
that's
you
kind
see
of a-
how rah I am? I'm
Okay,
like,
never mind.
it's my 200.
All right, on the amendment, Mr.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mayor Goodwin?
Yes.
Passes.
Wait, no, I don't vote.
Oh,
You voted.
They already voted it in.
You voted.
Yeah, sorry.
All right.
so did we get the pins?
So
No.
now we're back to
Yeah,
resolution 33-22.
As amended, right.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Mr. Farley?
Yes.
Mr. Grooms?
Yes.
Dr. Houghton?
What am I exactly voting on? I'm sorry.
Getting
You're voting on
$200
the,
instead.
No.
okay. Mr. Ellis?
No.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Passes.
It's not a tie.
Okay.
All right, yeah, I mean, it's not my money. I feel bad when I voted for y'all's money, but y'all can't vote for
Now,
mine.
you know the funny thing, it's not our money either.
Well, I know, but it's, all right, Mr. Grooms, you like?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for allowing us to attend the Municipal Association of South Carolina's meeting last month. I learned a wealth of knowledge, not only being able to meet a lot of the Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island and county officials and mayors, but it was a wonderful experience. But I got one quote that I got out of the thing that's kind of just I took with me, and it was, "Community wealth is obtained by people working together." So I'm gonna leave that with you. So there you go. Don't cry. Okay, good.
Mr. Ellis?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
August 17th, first day of school. School buses will be out there, leave a little early for work, slow down on the streets, look out for the children. That'll be next Wednesday. And our next blood drive is Tuesday, September 6th from 9 to 3 at the Tides. And Dave Millard would want me to remind everybody about that, and hope everybody can participate. We usually have a good turnout for that.
I'm signed up. Ready to go.
That's all.
Halloween. You dive right out of summer and it's Halloween. Well, it's always a pleasure to work with the community on the best Halloween carnival in the state. So, having said that, we're gonna take pre-COVID and we're gonna take after COVID 2 days worth of programs. So what does that mean? That means a costumed beach sweep. That means musical hayrides, judging of houses on the 30th, okay? Then, ta-da-da-da, back to the old days. It is the carnival at night, the witches dance, okay, everybody got ready for those witches dances, and the costume contest, like back in the day. So, 2 days, I wanna thank the Civic Club and everyone that's diving in to create, like, in my totally biased opinion, a great program. And I look forward to working with everyone on that, so appreciate it.
Between now and our next city council meeting, we'll have the unofficial end of summer. Happy early Labor Day, everyone.
Have a good night.
All right, before we go, one thing I forgot in Mayor's comments, I'm surprised Lacey didn't jump up and down and shoot me. September the 29th is gonna be a big day for the residents of Folly Beach in the Folly River Park. The Vistas will have a concert there for the Folly residents from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. You can look them up online, they have a lot of songs. How many, 100 and what songs?
103.
103 repertoire they can play from, the Vistas. The Vistas is an old band when I was a young person.
I know, I just wanna make sure I heard you right.
Yeah, Vistas.
Okay, I'll talk to you about how to do that.
What's the date again?
This March?
29th of September. Put that on your calendar. Bring your blanket, bring your chairs, and enjoy a good concert.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll
Yes,
make
sir.
make a motion to adjourn.
You got it.
Billy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Patrick. Yeah, no, enjoyed it.
Good to see you again. Appreciate that.